What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody is doing well today. Today, I will be reacting to why the EU economy looks surprisingly strong right now. Let's jump right to it, man.
So let's start by looking at the data. As we see it, there are two pieces of recent data that should provide some optimism for Europeans. The first is the most recent Eurostat GDP data, released on Wednesday, which shows that the EU grew by 1.4% year on year in the first quarter of 2025. Now, this was above expectations and the fastest growth rate since late 2022. Now, obviously, this isn't a mind-blowing number, and it's worth mentioning that some of this was driven by Ireland's 11% growth, which was mostly as a consequence of American multinationals using Ireland as a tax haven. Equally, some of this might have been driven by front-loading of European exports into the US. In other words, Americans desperately importing European goods at the start of the year before the tariffs came into effect, which would create a temporary boost to GDP. Nonetheless, it was still surprisingly good given the global economic slowdown, and far better than, say, the US. There are also some genuinely good numbers in there as well. Spain, for instance, grew by 2.8% year on year, having already posted some pretty impressive numbers over the past 3 years.
Nice.
Similarly, in the most recent IMF forecast released earlier this week, Spain was the only advanced economy not to have its growth forecasts downgraded, and the IMF now expects Spain to be the fastest growing advanced economy by quite some margin. Although these forecasts were obviously made before the power cut. Anyway, the second piece of good data was Eurostat's inflation report, which was published on Friday and found that year-on-year inflation in April came in at 2.2%, slightly higher than forecast, but still pretty close to the European Central Bank's 2% target.
Yeah.
This is obviously good news in and of itself, but it's also extra good news because it should give the ECB the space to cut interest rates to stimulate the economy if Trump's trade wars put a further drag on growth in the future. And again, this stands in marked contrast to the US, where, while inflation did fall last month, Fed Chair Jerome Powell has strongly implied that he won't be able to cut rates even with the US nearing recession because of the inflationary risks associated with Trump's tariffs, a move which invited the president's ire. Interestingly, almost all of this European disinflation was driven by lower energy prices, which fell by 3.5%, and this points to a wider cause for optimism for the European economy, the prospect of structurally lower prices. For context, the past few years have proved pretty definitively that high energy prices are terrible for Europe, largely because Europe is a net energy importer. Therefore, high energy prices push up inflation, undermine European industrial competitiveness, and help Russia, because oil and gas revenues give Putin more money to spend on his war in Ukraine. Now, unfortunately for Europe, energy prices have been pretty high since the pandemic. You can see this just by looking at the price of oil, which remains the most important energy source to any modern economy. Having hovered at around $50 per barrel for most of the late 2010s, oil prices surged to well over $100 per barrel in early 2022, thanks to a post-pandemic spike in demand and Putin's invasion of Ukraine. While prices came down somewhat in mid-2022, they only stabilized at about $80 per barrel, which is still
not even a big change. $20, that's not even a big change. I could imagine 20 years down the line. I mean, it could go back to 50.
Somewhat in mid-2022, they only stabilized at about $80 per barrel, which is still pretty high by historical standards.
Yeah.
This also understates the real costs for Europe, because oil imports are usually denominated in dollars, and the dollar was also pretty expensive, trading at near parity with the euro during this time period. However, in the past couple of months, oil prices have come down significantly, and oil is now trading at about $60 per barrel.
Oh, okay.
At the same time, the dollar has lost ground against the euro, and is now trading below 90 cents. Now, both of these phenomena have been driven by Trump's unpredictable tariff policy, which have slowed the global economy, and therefore the demand for oil, as well as undermining faith in the US, and therefore the dollar. This has all made importing energy significantly cheaper for Europe, which has helped tamp down inflation and should improve Europe's industrial competitiveness in the medium to long term. In more good news for Europe, there are also reasons to think that oil prices will stay relatively low for the foreseeable future, largely thanks to Saudi Arabia. For context, for the past few years, Saudi Arabia has been trying to keep oil prices high, in large part because the Saudis know that Vision 2030, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's ambitious plan to modernize the Saudi economy, is going to cost a lot of money.
Yup.
This has required the Saudis to convince the other members of OPEC+, that is the international cartel of oil-producing states, to collectively...
In places like Saudi Arabia and Canada, man, oh my goodness. They could up the prices of their oil anytime they want. I'm talking about let it skyrocket and we still got to buy it. We still need it. We still need it. And that's going to affect us and raise, the prices of gas and things like that, man. It's also going to cost the military more money out of their defense budget. Yes, because the oil costs more. It affects everyone, man. It really does take a toll on everyone. We can't do nothing about it. We're not producing amazing oil like how these countries are. This pure oil like how they do. So if we have the benefits of using their oil, it's only right for them to use our American dollars, use our money in order to boost their economy, which means prices might have to go up in the oil, man. Look, we got to take care of our economy and better our issues as well. So, I understand that. That's ridiculously high, though.
It's going to cost a lot of money. This has required the Saudis to convince the other members of OPEC Plus, that is the international cartel of oil-producing states, to collectively cut production. But high global prices and steep production cuts have made it increasingly tempting for other OPEC Plus members like Kazakhstan, Iraq, and the UAE to essentially cheat the cartel. In other words, pump more oil than they should and rake in the cash. This has forced Saudi Arabia to unilaterally cut production. But their decision to unwind these cuts earlier this year suggests that the Saudis have essentially given up on this project of structurally higher prices and are now accepting lower prices, but will instead pump more oil to make up for the revenue shortfall. Now, this might create some tension with Trump because lower prices will hurt American shale producers, who can only turn a profit above $65 a barrel. But it'll be great for both European industry and European consumers. And things could get even better if Trump negotiates a new deal with Iran, which, assuming it involves sanctions relief, would allow...
All right, well, Iran is not speaking to us, though. They had 60 days. They had 60 days, man. They had more than enough time. I don't think they're interested in doing business with the U.S.
Even better if Trump negotiates a new deal with Iran, which, assuming it involves sanctions relief, would allow Iranian oil and gas onto the international market, with Europe being the obvious buyer. This is one of the big reasons that the EU has always been keener than the US on normalizing relations with Iran.
Okay.
Iran could really help Europe diversify its energy supplies, especially when it comes to gas. However, while there's clearly cause for optimism...
Wait. Cheaper too. Cheaper to import and export as well. You see how far the United States is from Iran? And then Europe is right here. So it's going to be cheaper and it's going to take less time to transport this oil. Yes. Then that could leave us to make more money instead of losing less money due to the travel cost, the expenses of building the pipelines under the ocean in order to make it to the EU from Iran. Versus the United States, it's going to be a very long pipeline that's going to take some time as well. Everybody going to be losing money, man. It's not going to be a good look. But let's see if Trump can land that deal. I don't know if Iran's really interested.
This is one of the big reasons that the EU has always been keener than the US on normalizing relations with Iran. Iran could really help Europe diversify its energy supplies, especially when it comes to gas. However, while there's clearly cause for optimism, much here will depend on Trump and whether the EU and US can negotiate a mutually beneficial deal that averts the looming trade war. Nonetheless, Europe should still be buoyed by the fact that going into these negotiations, the European economy looks stronger than its American counterpart for the first time in a while, which is not what anyone expected when Trump first threatened tariffing.
Oh, that is true. Nobody expected our economy to be going on a downhill like how it is now. Before the moment Trump actually decided to put these tariffs on these countries. We didn't see that coming. Yes, we didn't see that coming at all. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be several more countries other than, the countries within the EU. There's going to be several more countries outside of the EU whose economy might be stronger than ours, might be increasing at a higher rate than ours, especially at this moment, especially during this moment, the times that America is facing. We the ones who really started this, and we can't even finish it, let alone we are being highly affected from this. Everybody, not just our government, not just our president, all of us, man. There's going to be a lot more countries out there with a better economy than the United States. And I'm pretty sure everybody out there is going to go, Oh my gosh, has it really come to this? Yup.
Which is not what anyone expected when Trump first threatened tariffing the bloc during his campaign.
Oh,
but
man.
ultimately, this is a complex and nuanced economic story.
And this man right here always provides accurate information, and I really do appreciate that. Let's go ahead and drop a like on the video, man. Ground news. So how do you guys actually feel about this right now? The EU economy is surprisingly looking stronger than the US. There's a lot more economies looking stronger than the US right now. I can tell you that aren't facing the issues we are facing right now. And our future projections are low. Very low. There's not a rise in anything right now. So in my mind, it feels like the United States is kind of on a pause. Like we're on a downslope and we are facing some of the worst times in history. So how do you guys feel in the comments down below? I would highly appreciate it. Do you feel that there would be some other countries out there with a better economy than the United States within a few months? Within this year? And with all these issues we got going on with other countries, I mean, we are still creating relationships with other countries as well. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like it's, kind of in a scramble way. Like we're trying to just do it fast, in a fast-paced way. Like we need to hurry up and make some new business deals, some more trading deals that are fair. That way we could kind of pick it up with our economy again, get things back on track, get people jobs again, get these factories and manufacturers open again. Yes, continue to construct our projects. Continue to construct new projects. We need to continue to keep our economy moving, and everything is slowing down at the moment. Plummeting, the stocks. Oh my goodness, the stock market looks horrible. Every day I look at it and I'm like, all I see is the color red. I ain't see one green thing in a few months. I'm so serious. Small businesses, big businesses, franchise owners, everybody's failing right now. Not making a lot of money. I want to say, really failing, like they're in a desperate need of money now, but they're losing a lot of business, especially the ones that were closer to borders and stuff. So we're losing that money coming into our economy to help us, to help our military, to help whatever, the security or whatever other global issues we have going on here, man. Please feel free to educate me on any information that was actually missed throughout this video, or any information that may have not been included that you would like me to learn about as well. And everybody, feel free to follow my Twitch and Instagram in the description down below. Just go ahead and click on the link. It's going to take you right there. If you enjoyed this video just as much as me, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and turn post notifications on. Feel free to share this video and channel to your friends and family members. And please continue to flood my comment section and suggestion link in the description down below if you would like to recommend some more of these informal educational videos for us to check out. Once again, everybody stay safe, enjoy the weather in your fabulous country, and I hope to catch you all in the next reaction video.